Agatha, 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 Agatha. All hail Agatha! She came from the woods as a Tubi original, written and directed by Eric Bloomquist, also written by Carson Bloomquist. I wonder, is there a familial relation? Probably. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, but you know what? If you can get family together, make an independent horror comedy in the vein of 80s slashers with a little bit of William Sadler sprinkled in, go for it. Have some fun. Yes, William Sadler is in this, the villain from Die Hard 2. I forgot he was the villain in Die Hard 2, which is strange because the Die Hard movies are very entertaining, or at least the first three were. We don't really talk about the others. This isn't about Die Hard 2 because this movie takes place in 1987, which is before any of the Die Hard movies came out. Hooray! Pre-Die Hard era times, whatnot, what have you. So, yes, this also stars Cara Buono, who is gorgeous, goddamn gorgeous. She's closing in on 50, looks 30, great genetics. Seriously, she is fucking gorgeous. Claire Foley, Spencer, you just made the list! Spencer List, that is. And then he became Michael Onion, and then Michael Neary, and then Michael Park. If you get that MST3K reference, I love you guys. And various other people. So William Sadler also helped produce this. There are various, young, pretty people sprinkled in, and also a lot of kids in this movie. They're listed in the cast that just decided to run around and act like kids as they do and go nuts on their last day at Camp Briarbrook. And yeah, it's at a summer camp. A demon gets unleashed by the camp counselors during a ritual, as you do. And then things get really bloody and ridiculous. And we get some over-the-top characters and ridiculous-natured stuff and whatnot. And some good callbacks and some homages to 80s slashers. And from there, we have a 2023 release that basically could have fit right in. I'd say even if they had tried something like this in the 90s, it would have worked in all honesty. I mean, Scream back in 1996 gave rise to the parody horror, as it were, or the self-aware horror, or, making fun of itself while also carving out its own story. And I'm not going to say this movie is nearly as good as Scream. I'm not even going to say it's necessarily great, but it has good to great moments in it. It certainly was quite enjoyable. Even if I thought maybe there were a few parts where I was like, okay, we could have cut this a bit. I don't know if this movie needed to be an hour and 41 minutes long. It could have been a nice tight 90 minutes. Seriously, there were a few parts where I'm like, okay, we could have cut this, could have done this. But then again, that's just me as a horror fan. But I enjoyed this for the most part. It was out in theaters, like a limited release back, I think, in late February, early March. Unfortunately, due to the fact that winters here in Washington State are a little bit shit, and the fact that it wasn't really playing nearby, I decided to wait until it hit streaming, and I've been waiting for this for a while, and actually, honestly, forgot it came out, and I was like, oh, it's on Tubi, great. Tubi is a ad-based free streaming service, and you can get stuff like this, and this actually was pretty enjoyable. Again, Cara, beautiful. My God, she's beautiful. So the story, such as it is, has Heather, the head camp counselor, I'm sorry, I'm really trying hard. Gilbert, nobody's eating his grape because played by William Sadler, but then again, if you were that age and you're getting your grape eaten, good job for you, I guess. She's his daughter. She has her son, Spencer List, who plays Peter, and he's got a girlfriend, Lauren, Claire Foley, who I swear I've seen in something before, I just can't place it right now. And we get introduced to various people. We have a particular opening scene I'll talk about in the spoiler section. Let's just say somebody is besieged by something that they are trying to hide in the current time. And then we see the kids. We see various cliches. We get a very obviously gay character named Ben. Ben Gay. Yeah, that joke was not lost on me after somebody pointed out, because I'm kind of weird. And other people that people are trying to hook up. There's this one character named Dylan that has a weird mullet and is supposed to be the camp creep. And Kids in America, whoa, plays over the credits. And, the movie, it's fine. There are actually some pretty good moments, some pretty good kills. I don't think the comedy necessarily hit. And maybe it was more horror comedy than comedy horror. I think some of the comedy was like, maybe it was meant to be where it's like the characters are supposed to be super annoying or stupid or both. And as far as not really caring who lives or dies, you get the slasher, cliche right there. Some good kills, some decent stuff. It's not, again, going to reinvent the wheel. It's not necessarily something I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. But I had a good time watching it, and I do recommend that you guys watch it. And I look forward to seeing what the Bloomquist can do in the future. I know they've done other stuff. Maybe I'll try and check streaming services and see if any of their stuff is playing. And it is what it is. People do get separated at some point when the kids are, being taken on the bus away. The camp counselors do the ritual, and then things go really tits up. The kids disappear. And then William Sadler's Gilbert is getting called back into action. And then a couple camp counselors are going to take care of the bunks. Nobody gets run over by a lawnmower or gets run over or gets, thrown in a shitter like in Sleepaway Camp. It's either 2 or 3. I forget which because I really only recognize Sleepaway Camp 1. And there you go. That's pretty much it right there. We have a squirrel who plays the bugle. That was during one particular play scene, and that made me laugh. A squirrel playing the bugle. I demand to see an animated short based on that. Nevertheless, the movie's fine. It's fine overall. It's entertaining enough, even if it is a little bit long in the tooth. I do recommend you guys watch it. I'm going to get into spoilers, though, just so you know. I'm going to talk about some of the kills and stuff like that. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. Free, ad-based streaming service. 3, 2, 1. Cara Bueno is gorgeous. Spoilers. So, yeah, there you go. You're getting into the spoilers right there. In the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said. I'm going to take any opportunity to reference that. So, there's blood in jars hanging in the woods. Sure, why not? And there's a girl named Heather that is besieged by the ghost, Agatha, who, it turns out, actually was a nurse hired to care after, various people at the camp, and actually ended up killing Gilbert's wife, Evelyn, because she's an evil witch. And also Gilbert and Agatha end up banging at one point. All this stuff's explained later on in the movie. But Heather, a little girl besieged by the ghost, and yes, Kara's character, Heather, is the same. She's the same. It turns out there was weird stuff going on with her. Ben being the stereotypical gay character, I mean, I'm all for representation. I think like they kind of overdid it. Maybe that was the point. Dylan was the over-the-top creep. And I basically what ends up happening is the counselors are all that's left. The kids are leaving. The bus is not in the best shape. There's family strife at the camp. Basically what ends up happening is there's an older brother and Peter. Older brother wants Peter to take more responsibility. And then, Heather is talking to Gilbert because he's leaving. All of a sudden, he's like, nah, I don't really want to be part of this anymore. I want to do something else with my life, considering he's in his 70s or whatever he's supposed to be. What happened to bury me at Briarbrook, she said. That doesn't mean I have to die there. Well, okay, I mean, maybe not, I guess, but what are they going to do? What if you die in Milan? Are they going to transport your body there? That seems expensive. So, nevertheless, Agatha is the name of the demon. Ex vitam immortalium. Immortal life. She wants to live forever. She wants to be forever young. She wants to be forever young. Does she really want to live forever young? So they decide, because Agatha was a nurse that wanted to heal people, they're going to prick their fingers with sterile needles. This was the 80s, so the AIDS scare was getting the AIDSies, as it were. Magic Johnson knows about that. This is going extremely well. This is fine. They prick their fingers and they say her name. They do the ritual. Dylan's a complete moron is what I wrote down. A creep hitting on a girl named Veronica. And then the bus breaks down near a cornfield or some kind of field. This was filmed in Connecticut, so I don't think Connecticut has cornfields. I could be wrong. I only visited that state once, and that was for like one day, and it was fine for what it was. So then the kids disappear into the cornfield, and then people start dying. there is one point where this one guy, Danny, oh hi Danny, is flirting with this girl Kelly. I have to say the actress is quite lovely that plays Kelly. And she, she was trying to skip stones. He shows her, and he tries to kiss her. Basically, it's a romance thing, and she didn't tell him that there was a guy that she knew back home. And Danny doesn't take this rejection well and beats the shit out of her with a rock. Now that's when the movie picks up. Because you don't take rejection well, so beat the shit out of somebody with a rock. Don't do that. Take rejection, because some people are not going to like you. Trust me, I know. Beating somebody's head in with a rock never goes well. Or head in with the rock. Picking up a 250-pound Samoan African-American man and trying to swing him around like that, not very easy, jabroni. So, then Danny gets stabbed. And then the phones are going tits up. The phone explodes in Heather's ear when she tries to call for help. At one point, Gilbert gets called back into action by the older brother. And payphones. Man, 1987. That's goddamn wild. A lot of the characters are super annoying, which I guess was the idea, which was by design. No one alive. Dead by dawn. Dead by dawn. And no one alone, basically, is what it is. But no one will be left alive. No one will survive. So, we get ghostly bumps and silly things going on. I did like the campfire thing, though, where he beats her, hit him with a rock, throws her in the fire, and then he gets stabbed repeatedly, and that was just kind of funny. I don't know why it was funny to me. So, then various people get just totally fucked. The kids are totally possessed now because they are under the control of Agatha. Veronica is toast. Her tongue was cut out. She's choking on her own blood. And then a cop arrives. Then the pizza guy arrives. And then the cop takes the pizza guy's car and traps the pizza guy in there because the cop, Jerry, was part of this thing that Heather dealt with years ago. And he's like, I can't go back to that, so I'm going to escape. And then at one point, we have a couple characters like Ashley and Ben. And it's like, what's going on here? Well, this isn't The Burning, Ben. The Burning, by the way. Check out my retro review of that. Check out The Burning. It actually wasn't all that bad. Some great fucking fire effects in that. Not so much here. The kids run into the woods and dig. And they dig out the, they apparently dig out the ghost or the demon that is Agatha. And sure, stand around like idiots while you watch this. Don't go for help or get away from this particular plot of land. The kids are not all right. Then they start running around like zombies, and everybody gets killed gradually. Dylan kicks one guy down the stairs when he tries to escape, and then Dylan eventually gets set on fire, which was kind of funny. I don't know why that was funny. Gilbert explains this whole thing about what happened with his wife and how he banged Agatha and then killed her because he found out that she was killing him, or he killed his wife like you couldn't have told. If you're named Agatha, it's almost a guarantee, especially if you were a nurse, that you're going to kill people. Don't ask me how. I don't make the rules. Sorry to any people named Agatha out there. Yeah, Dylan ends up throwing a cigarette on the ground, and then this kid Dennis that he made fun of set him on fire after the brake lines are cut, and they threw gas on him. That he apparently just had in his hand and just threw it on him. And set him on fire. They could have done a better job hiding the stunt double. It wasn't, don't get me wrong, this wasn't Hobgoblin, so I was like, ooh. But that's alright. It is what it is. These things happen. The movie's still good, don't get me wrong. So, Agatha wants the family. She wants the family for what Gilbert did. Ben ends up, he absolutely, he's used as bait, but then he somehow manages to escape. Pete gets killed. Ben ends up, well, actually, the ghost used Ben's voice. Ben was out of the picture by this point. Pete gets killed. Oh, darn. He made the list of dead bodies. And then Agatha is laughing while Gilbert has a gun aimed at her. Also, there was an archery thing referenced earlier in the movie that Claire Foley's character, Lauren, decides to implement by hitting the demon with an arrow. It's an arrow dress she's wearing. And then the ghost grabs a shotgun. I don't know why this made me laugh, but she blew off William Sadler's head. And then she gets attacked and an arrow through the throat. And then they chop her up. And she can't come back like that guy at the end of Friday. We get it. We get the movie references. Okay, the burning one was funny. You don't have to go that well again. And then another cop arrives and says, what's happening here? And then we get an entertaining CGI model type credit thing where she came from the woods. All the stories shown. It's not bad. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say, again, that it was great. But I look forward to seeing what the Bloomquists can do later on. B. Gets a B. Solid B. Well worth watching. Again, a little long in the tooth. Some inventive kills. Characters I wasn't really invested in. Maybe that was by design. So nevertheless, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charles Retlin. I'll see you soon.